Do you remember this commercial from a couple of years ago?
Hello, I'm Stephen Miller, founder and president of America First Legal, a charitable foundation dedicated to defending your rights in court. I am here today with an urgent message. America's biggest corporations and universities are illegally discriminating against Americans based on race and sex. These corporations and universities have adopted so-called diversity, equity, and inclusion policies that punish Americans for being white, Asian, or male. If you or a loved one were denied a job, raise, promotion, or professional opportunity as a result of diversity quotas, equity mandates, affirmative action, or other racial preferences, we want to hear from you.
If you don't remember it, I do. And he is back in the White House as an advisor to Donald Trump. And now, look at what's going on in Chicago. Yeah, they are looking into prosecuting the mayor of the city of Chicago for hiring black people, or at least trying to get his administration to be a mixture of, or a representation of what his city is. And right now, in the city of Chicago, per this article, 30% of his administration is white, 34% is black, 24% is Latino, and 7% is Asian or Pacific Islander. Whereas the city's overall workforce is 38, 29, 26, and 3, respectively. And go back, I mean, you've heard the stories and the jokes and the movies and everything out there in society from a long time ago where people used to joke about whether or not white people were going to start claiming reverse racism. And we also understand that there's a little bit of truth in joking and how a lot of white men in this country felt like they were being marginalized and put to the side and set aside and felt less than, and not being promoted when the black guy got the job because the company needed a black guy to represent the firm, or if this Asian woman got the job because it killed two birds with one stone, or how we all understand the statistics where white women benefited more from affirmative action in DEI than any other race or sex out there. We know that. But what really pissed everybody off and what really pissed off people like Stephen Miller were white men losing opportunities. And the way they write laws is just the way Thomas Jefferson wrote the Declaration of Independence, where he declared all men are created equal. Now, the question is, was he talking about all men? Was he talking about all white men? Was he talking about mankind? What was he talking about? If you didn't know, he was talking about all white land-owning men. And a lot of other founders felt that way too, because they felt if you owned land, you had a stake in how this country progressed. If you didn't own land, you had no skin in the game. That's what he meant. But he made it ambiguous to say, okay, all men to mean everybody. And when they wrote the Civil Rights Bill, they said no one would be discriminated because of race, sex, creed, color, religion, blah, 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 blah. And now, even though there have been presidents and senators and congressmen and governors and mayors and city council people and social activists and civil rights activists, even though all those people fought for women's rights and LGBTQIA plus rights and African-American rights just to be considered equal so we can get an equal footing in this country and be fairly represented, there are white men, and I would just say white people, some white men, who feel like they are being discriminated against simply because they're white. And this is just the right administration to test that theory in court. But you got to go back to 1990 when Louis Farrakhan was on the Phil Donahue show, and he said this about black people getting into some kind of perceived power that white people think we may get into.
But I would like to say what scares us is I think we hear violence.
What you fear, and it's a deep guilt thing, that white folks suffer. You are afraid that if we ever come to power, we will do to you and your fathers what you and your people have done to us. And I think you are judging us by the state of your own mind, and that is not necessarily the mind of black people.
And there have been white people in this country who have continued to try to marginalize all the others. And you can just fill in the blank. They've tried to marginalize all the others just so white people can maintain power or whatever kind of power they think they may have. And what really pissed everybody off, what really got them upset, was when Barack Obama got the White House in 2008. When white people understood that there were other white people out there who had a free-thinking mind and said that anybody can be the president. And it didn't help that Kamala Harris got the number 2 spot. That really pissed them off. Because not only can she be perceived black, but she can also be perceived Asian or Indian or whatever or other. That pissed off a lot of white people like Stephen Miller in this country, and they are hell-bent on trying to get back any perceived power that they think they had. So now Chicago is getting sued, and that's just the start. What do you think?